Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday. I just wanted to talk quickly about what I thought of the State of the Union address speech from Donald Trump the other day. And what did you guys think of it? I mean, it got really good ratings. It got really positive reviews, surprisingly. I thought it was going to, it seemed really combative and, divisive in a way, but I honestly, I thought it was good. I had a fucking great time watching it. It was hilarious. And so I thought just because he was attacking, the Democrats the whole time, that everybody would just kind of view it as just, just him trying to push blame on people and stuff. But that's not really what it was. I mean, he was calling out people for their bullshit, and it really wasn't that much of a self-congratulatory speech. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Yeah, so the first 20 minutes, he's kind of talking about the good things that he's done in this term, the things that he's keeping up, like the border, the housing market. He talked about how he made it illegal for Wall Street companies to buy up single family homes and rent them back to people. He talked about how all of the jobs that he created are in the private sector. So, yeah, there have been some good things, right? Some good things. And he didn't really go too deep into all the things that he hasn't done. He didn't really lie about much. He didn't really try to, blowfish the situation, I guess. Pufferfish the situation, whatever you would say. So he didn't lie all that much. He didn't, try to congratulate himself about shit that he hasn't even done. At least that's not what I picked up from it. Yeah, so we get into the next part of the speech where he is basically criticizing the left for the things that are going wrong. And, honestly, I agreed with them on most of this stuff. I mean, he was talking about how the Democrats in Democrat cities are restricting ICE. They're stopping, deportation processes from happening. He called out Elon Omar, which was awesome. I thought that was hilarious. And yeah, and so overall, the speech was honestly really fun to watch. It was good. It was uplifting to me, but it kind of gave me a sense of false hope because are you really going to do that shit? The stuff that you're talking about that you're going to do, that you're planning to do, are you really going to do it? Because we really haven't seen, all the things that you promised at the beginning of the term get carried out. So, that's something to keep in mind. But I also wanted to talk about, right, is I wanted to remind people of who the real enemy is here, because a lot of you guys, and me included, have sort of turned around on Trump because of how pro-Israel he is and how he's basically an Israeli nationalist and all of this stuff. But, besides all of that, I just want to remind everybody of how ultimately worse it would be if the Democrats were in office. I mean, think about it. I mean, you have these people who literally want to let everyone in, okay? Who say that white people are the most dangerous people to society, right? Like Elon Omar says that white people are racist to the core, that our DNA contains, racism, and that Ben Shapiro says the same thing, right? And so, like, let's remember who the real enemy is here, okay? Because when you talk about Trump and you talk about how, he's pro-Israel and so you're not going to side with him anymore, some of you retards say, well, I'm going to go try the left out because they are somewhat anti-Israel, at least more so than, Donald Trump. Well, one, that's not true at all because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were pro-Israel. So if Kamala Harris was in office, this would be the same shit, really. Secondly, let's talk about Elon Omar. I mean, sure, she's anti-Israel, right? But she's just as anti-American as Ben Shapiro is. Because think about it, she hates white people. She wants to let immigrants in. She wants to obstruct ICE agents from doing what they're doing. And she says it's a disgusting idea that this should be a predominantly white country. So you're going to side with her over Donald Trump because you don't support Israel? isn't that just the same thing that Israel does? Isn't that the same ideology they have towards white people? Isn't that what Ben Shapiro says about white people? So let's remember who the real enemy is here. And you have her other representative there who's wearing the pin saying, fuck ICE. Okay, number one, that just shows how, uncivil you are, how, unprofessional you are. You're supposed to be a politician and you're wearing that, to a government building, that's being aired live by the government. Okay? So you're basically just saying that you're anti-American, and these fucking white people want to support them because Trump is pro-Israel. Besides that, I just wanted to remind you that was, that's kind of what I was thinking about during this. And it's refreshing to see that a lot of people agree with me on that because, everybody's turned their backs on Trump, including me. And I'm not saying that I support him anymore, but I'm just saying, think of how much worse it could be, right? Okay. Besides that, I kind of wanted to talk about some of the things he said about Iran. And, judging by that, he didn't really say much at all. I was expecting him to, talk about maybe going to war with them, about, how they haven't accepted the agreement. But really nothing's changed. He didn't really have much to announce. He did talk about how, J.D. Vance did talk about how there's rumors of them reinstating their nuclear missile program, but I haven't seen evidence of that myself, so I don't know what to say about that. But they did talk about it today. So I will look into that and see what the results of that were and what the plan is now. But other than that, there really wasn't any developments on Iran, so really it was just the speech consisted of self-congratulating, what he's done for the economy and the border, blaming, saying all the bad things the Democrats have done and how they've tried to stop him, and then he talked about Charlie Kirk, Irina Zarutsky, and her family, some of the veterans that got injured this year, some veterans from World War II he awarded medals. And so that was really cool to see. It was just, it was cool to see that, he was being real patriotic, and the rhetoric overall was really, really, funny and interesting. And yeah, it was a great speech. I kind of got nostalgia from the 2016 era when I watched it. But overall, this doesn't really do much because think about it. The polls are still the same. The predictions are still the same for the House. So it still looks like the left is going to take over. So nothing's really changed there. But it looks like this got really positive reviews. The Republicans gave it an 80%, or 80% of the Republicans said it was a good speech. Even 40% of the Democrats said it was a good speech. Even the CNN polls were good. So it just goes to show that, there is some hope here. It's just that, how can we trust you, using that playbook that you're using, Donald Trump, if you really haven't held up your end of the deal, So I would like to see these things happen. I would like to see mass deportations carried out. I would like to see all of these things keep going and, for these promises to be fulfilled, but I'm just really not as hopeful as I should be because you don't really have a good track record, especially with this new term. So with that being said, thank you guys. I just wanted to quickly talk about it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.